have in attendance Randy Iser, Mark Dunn, Andrew Gnatic, and we have Kayla. Do we have anyone else, Kayla, on the Zoom?
Just me.
What's first on the agenda?
Public comment.
Public comment. If we have no one else attending, I think we
No,
can,
any one of us is entitled to public comment, but I don't think we probably have anything to say.
we can leap over that.
Okay, approval of minutes.
I did not read them, I'm sorry. Did we get, we had minutes a few meetings back, I don't know.
Yeah, so there was what, three meetings worth.
Yeah,
Well, we can put that off till the next meeting. if we're not
yeah, let's put that.
Prepared.
Okay.
Okay.
Discussion on public outreach, potential newsletters shared with residents, survey respondents who shared contact information.
I would propose that we hold on that until we have Pioneer Valley Planning Commission back involved with our committee. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, we're gonna need professional help for that, so I think that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely keeps us from putting our foot in our mouth.
You think we have that capability, Andrew?
We might.
I have a proven history. What's next on the agenda?
Thematic FAQs, review of final FAQs.
We kind of went over that at the last meeting, didn't we?
Yeah,
I know Justin was gonna tweak them a little bit.
and I owe one on the infrastructure and I haven't gotten to that. And being in the holiday season, I'm not gonna get to it before
Yeah.
January.
So I don't think really, Mark, that
It's
that's
pressing.
overly pressing
No,
at this point in time,
okay.
so. We will.
We are flying through this, Kara.
We will not admonish you too severely for that.
What's next, Andrew?
Project progress update, discussion on next steps.
Oh, there we go.
That's what we're here for.
So let me
Sports
give,
fans.
let me give an update from my perspective and then you can give yours.
Mhm.
So we started out with 6 members. We had, Michael had to drop off because he's spending more time in Florida and registered to vote there. So that disqualified him. We lost, Deb Levinson. She felt too stretched, and she wrote a nice resignation letter. And most recently, Justin Pland, expressed his unhappiness with, if you remember our last meeting, he was shocked to learn that he had missed the special town meeting and, he is very, justly, to some degree, upset that just was so hard to find with that, if you're in town hall, if you're on committees and you hear by word of mouth, it just becomes second nature. You know that it got moved from October to November and when it is. I was going to find the specifics and I couldn't really,
Mhm.
I had to dig and drill and whatever, it just, and so I've complained in the past that I feel like meetings should be more obviously, and I think there has been some recent discussion about that, about making meetings and important, decisions more transparent, and more easily findable by the general public, the general citizens. So anyway, that was, what I believe to be his issue that he resigned in protest over. So we're down to the 3 of us. We are a quorum. I do have, we have a planning board meeting tomorrow night, so I don't know if I have to check the agenda, but we might be reviewing potential additions to this committee,
Mhm.
which would be Nicole Berghume submitted an email expressing her interest. At the last planning board meeting, I'm gonna butcher his name,
Shardul Parmar,
Shardul Parmar expressed his interest.
okay,
I don't know if he's put an email in formally yet or not. And, and I had reached out to the senior center community to see if they had anyone that wanted to, be represented, as we lost Deb. And so Ronnie, Williams has sent, an email to Bill Dwyer expressing her interest. So the next time we meet, we could be up to as many as 6 again.
okay,
Um,
cool.
3 of which might not have the history that we have with this, but again, I think we can cover that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that big a deal to catch up.
So that's my news on the makeup membership. We also, I have not heard from Kyle that we got any additional funding in the latest grant cycle or DLTA to continue supporting them. So there has been some talk about requesting some additional funding to pay PVPC for this. To request that from the Affordable Housing Trust. So
That is on the agenda
that is on the
for
agenda
tomorrow night.
for either tomorrow night or Wednesday.
Tomorrow night, oh, let's see, yeah,
It
right.
Could be the Wednesday,
Yeah, you're right,
5:30.
I'm sorry, yes.
And so, tomorrow night is planning board. Wednesday, 6 o'clock is the usual
Select board,
select board meeting, and so 5:30 before that is a scheduled meeting with the Affordable Housing Trust. Where that request, I believe, is on the agenda to see if the Affordable Housing Trust will fund PVPC for some period of time.
That's on Wednesday.
That's Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah.
So. If you want to attend that, I think the Zoom, you can find it by going to the town website and the calendar. And it should be on the meeting calendar. There's usually an agenda and that will have the Zoom link. Or come here, because I believe it'll be, where have you guys been meeting? In the social room?
yeah, in the main room up there, yeah.
Hadn't you at some times in the past met in here?
Once we tried it, but it's too small.
It's too small.
Just for the camera and everything,
Yeah.
doesn't work well.
Okay,
Um,
so yeah. So, and I might just add anyone interested in supporting, affordable housing might wanna come to that meeting if they're interested in being on the committee or share their thoughts or, you know, so. That's my update. Anything?
So your update, in thinking, when I sent my email suggesting that we need to meet to figure out where we're going.
Mhm.
So I think it would be a good idea to remind us all what is our charge? And so that we try to keep on track with that. And I feel like we really have to get the public involved in this, otherwise it's going to be 6 people making a decision. And I know that we've talked in the past about having forums and meetings and whatevers. But we feel we need Kyle for that, and I don't disagree with that. So hopefully we can get some funding together and get Kyle back on board, and then we can start moving this forward. Because we're all here because we have a similar mindset. I believe that we think this 40R is a good idea. So that being said, we're just gonna go to the planning board and say, yeah, let's do it. but without the public input, I think that's not a great idea.
No, and I don't think that was ever off the table. That is part of the process. If you go back through minutes, it's always phase one was the first round of public engagement with the survey, and then I think maybe we used up a little more of Kyle's time instead of him just going, I think he thought that there, I could be misspeaking. I thought that he maybe thought that his time would last longer through this process.
Yeah.
But I think we had a little more discussion and a little more back and forth and maybe more meetings than he expected, and so we ran out of their funding, but that was always the intended next step was this round two of public engagement, which would, well, actually, I think the idea was to analyze the first round of input from the survey, analyze it, maybe draft something up, say, this is what we thought we heard for public desires for, do we want affordable housing? Where do we want it? Where do we not want it? What do we want it to look like? What don't we want it to look like? What scale, and come up with some outline draft and then bring that back to second round of engagement, which could have just been me, but I thought maybe his jaw dropped a bit when we talked about small groups instead of just another survey. But I did think that live in person, you're gonna get a lot more.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Especially with the makeup of the town, like, there's just a lot of stakeholders that are. It's a little more, the makeup's a little more diverse than some of these other.
Mm.
Other cities and towns that have
Mhm.
done the 4ER.
Yeah.
I was thinking that. We probably should, like. Before we were to get to like other groups, is to. Submit, like, publish those FAQs out and see what kind of response comes from those,
Right.
because we'll get something out of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause the intent there, I mean, I don't know if FAQs is the right term, but that's the term I came up with and no one's come up with a better term, was basically to. There were some. Fears and claims that we heard from some of the. Survey respondents that did not match up with the facts as we've understood them.
Mhm.
I'll say for one, there was, overtaxing, overstressing, overburdening the school system. We heard that's definitely not the case. Infrastructure, I have to report back on what I discussed with Scott McCarthy. Things like that, which might, influence people's opinions in that next round of interactions or involvement. So yes, Andrew, we definitely want to get those out before we get into the next round. We're adding more information to the discussion.
With that FAQ also, I don't know if it included the 40S option on the, like, additional state funding for school systems.
But,
And we never talked about it.
no,
And
But,
I'll find it if they.
yeah, and I don't think it's an issue at this point.
No,
The school has plenty of capacity. The school system is very interesting. I don't know if you guys have been following the Chinese immersion schools request to expand and how the surrounding towns are very much against it.
because it drains the public schools' state funding.
It takes their students away and it takes funding away. So I don't know how that particular school impacts Hadley,
Mhm.
but it's definitely an issue that's out there.
When I met with, and it was, when I met with Dr. Annie McKenzie about this, she, it's not, it's a complex, there's a lot of different factors, but at the end of the day, the more Hadley residents that they have in the school system, the more funding they get. That, you know, there's a lot of different factors, you know, you lose some here, you gain some there, but ultimately, when you have more students coming from outside of Hadley, school choicing in, you get money for those, but you get more ultimately with residents. So so that's an argument for affordable housing, and having people here, putting their kids in the school system would actually help the school system. So. Anything else on that?
No, I mean, I know that our next step is to engage the public somehow. And I just wanted us to be aware that we've gotta figure out how to do that, and I think we're waiting for Kyle to help us with that.
I think we were talking about some small groups and where to capture them. This, you know, the senior center, having a forum type was one idea. I don't remember what the other ideas we were coming up with were. But
I think as long as we move forward when it's appropriate in that direction. However, I mean, if we get 3 people, we get 30, we get 300. Every bit of information we can collect is going to be helpful for us.
it, you know, I would seem to me like a logical step if there's statistics that PVPC has that can look at the demographics of our town. I'm sure they have tons of charts that say it's this percentage of this age people or that age people, or it's this percent, you know, there's probably data out there that could show you a whole pie chart of residents, voters of Hadley, and who are professionals, and who are doing this work, and who are doing that, and who are, maybe looking at that is a way to say, how do we draw in those groups? To try and get as much involvement.
Mhm.
I mean, because that's, I certainly hope no one thinks we're trying to slide anything past, we're, if you go back over our past meeting recordings, we're kind of racking our heads, like, how do we get the most people in here?
Mhm.
If somebody has a better idea, maybe we have a ice cream festival, give out some free food and get people in here,
Mhm.
I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe there's a, I don't know.
Now we just have to try different things and see what happens, and we're not gonna get everybody in town involved.
Yeah.
People that wanna be involved will be no matter what we do.
Yeah.
So,
And right now is not a great time to get anyone involved because we're all
right,
busy with the holidays
Right.
and the end of the year wrap up of
yeah,
business
I agree.
endeavors and,
Yeah, I agree with that.
so January hopefully will be full charge ahead.
Well, hopefully we'll have some funding by then in some way, shape or form.
Yeah.
And then we can get Kyle back on board with us and move along.
Anything else on the agenda?
So the next topic was discussion of potential addition of new members.
Well, I guess I kind of touched on that. Yeah.
Next one's topics for future meetings.
Well,
We've kind of,
funding is kind of the next big issue
yeah,
to get Kyle back in here.
Always do a can drive, that would get community involved.
yeah. Well, I'm hoping that Wednesday gets us an answer. I mean, I think we've got the money in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. If this is a valid use for it, then I see no reason why we shouldn't be allowed
Right.
to tap into that funding source.
Right. And I think that I've heard some people say, you know, or express a concern that that the Affordable Housing Trust is, it has no set revenue. It's like a pond that has no stream filling it. Other than those, you know, payment in lieu. But it's also been discussed that it is a possibility to request funding from CPA. So that's another option that can be discussed either at this level or at the, well, not, we don't have any say in it. But the AHT can ask themselves if they wanna.
The Valley CDC is gonna get $100,000 as long as select board agrees with that on Wednesday night. So now that fund is down to 400,000, let's say. And in this world, the reality of that $400,000 will buy nothing. So why not use it for what the kind of thing like we need it for? I think it's gonna be way more beneficial for that than to try to entice a developer.
No, this is the concept of this committee in our charge is basically to seed the town. Where do we want to seed the town? Where do we want to encourage affordable housing? So that's, yeah, it seems like a small investment in PVPC's support for this committee would advance that investigation, which could bear fruit in the future. So, yeah. To use a farming analogy. Anything else on our agenda?
Next meeting time and agenda.
That sounds like the end of it, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
So we typically meet what, the first and third Mondays.
We usually meet before the planning board, the day before the planning board. So the next planning board would be after tomorrow is January 7th. We could meet January 6th. Or we could push it to the 20th. No, I think the 20th is a holiday, isn't it? I think that's Martin Luther King and that's the
We could meet.
and that's the
Yeah.
inauguration.
Yeah, okay, so that's probably stuff that
Yeah.
is worthy of avoiding this meeting for.
So we could tentatively, we could plan on the 6th, and if there isn't anything brewing or funding,
Yeah,
then we can always cancel.
yeah, I think that makes sense. If we don't get the funding, then we cancel the January 6th meeting and figure
Yeah.
out what we do from there.
Right.
That sound reasonable, Andrew?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if something is starting to brew, but we're not gonna be ready on the 6th, or people are away on travel, we could always push it to the 13th. We don't have to be right before the planning board.
Yeah.
So.
That makes sense to me.
All right.
And hopefully we'll get some money and some new members.
Yeah.
Everybody put that on their Christmas list.
And your Hanukkah list, and your Kwanzaa list.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, this isn't the diversity.
That's fine,
committee. Sorry.
that's okay.
That's my other hat.
It still makes sense.
So next meeting, we'll plan on, do we want to stick with 6 o'clock?
Fine, yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do seem to recall that there was a groan from Kyle on 6 o'clock. Were we doing 5 o'clock? Yeah, we were doing 5
We're
o'clock
doing 5 o'clock.
before that, which I think he liked, because then he got home sooner, and 6 just dragged out his day. But maybe he zooms, I mean, I don't know. We'll have to
Whatever,
talk to
we'll
him
figure it out.
if we find funding.
I mean, I'm
Right.
not against one time or the other. It doesn't really matter to me.
6 works better for me, but I can.
Yeah, it's
I can-
tight
I
for
can,
you.
I can arrange to change my schedule around.
Okay. Yeah, I like 6 better, but if it means that Kyle can be here and he's gonna be happier and
Yeah,
perform better for us, then
or what if we
Will.
compromise, is 5:30, does that work for you?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it's a weird time to start a meeting, but still. We're doing it on Wednesday. Anyway, you can think about that.
yeah, I mean, it works. It's a little on the close side for me, because
Yeah.
I'm from Northampton, so depending on traffic, it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone the bridge.
well, let's see if Kyle can do 6.
Yeah,
And if he can do that, amen. If not, then we'll have to negotiate.
I can
Yeah.
accommodate if
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah,
yeah,
If it gets him back here.
and we may have 3 new members that have.
Yeah.
Schedule issues as well.
okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, wait a second,
Second,
roll call vote,
Eyes are yes.
eyes are yes, done, yes,
Natick, yes.
all right, we are. Adjourned, thank you, Kayla.
Good night,
and
Kayla.
Thank you, Alex, wherever.
Have a
he
good
is
night.
going.
You too.
Enjoy your holidays. Done. Thank you to the owl. Any special holiday plans?
Nah,